June 15, 2015 was World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. June 15th also fell during the National Week of Making. This is the story of how the Alamance Makers Guild worked with Alamance County Department of Social Services to build the Elder Abuse Awareness Bench. Victor Cardenas works in adult services with Alamance County Department of Social Services. He is also a member of the Alamance Makers Guild. Victor had become aware that DSS had planned to purchase a buddy bench for the Alamance County Senior Center as part of Elder Abuse Awareness Day. He suggested that the Alamance Makers Guild would be able to make a better bench using CNC router technology. Step one was to come up with a design that would fit DSS's criteria and also fit within their budget. Another technical issue was creating parts for the bench that would fit within the 18-inch by 24-inch working volume of a ShopBot Desktop, the CNC machine that we would use. Rough dimensions were generated by sampling several existing benches. A design was then created in VCarve Pro that would cut parts from an 18-inch by 24-inch workpiece. This design was then printed out, pasted to cardboard, and cut out by hand in order to make a physical model that could be presented to DSS for their approval. As soon as we had approval for the design and the budget, we purchased materials and finalized the design. Here you can see a 3D view of the parts that will be cut out of the bench for a typical plate. If you notice the small divots, those are for hold-down screws. We used some of the waste material at the bottom of each board to cut out spacers that could be used to hold up the boards while we painted them later in the process. You may also notice tabs left in the material to hold down the pieces while they're being cut out. Here the ShopBot Desktop is cutting out pieces for the design. Here is a completed piece liberated from its panel. Next up is the process of sanding down the panels. Here is the witness to construction, the cut-through marks on the spoiler board on the CNC router. We used a kind of PVC construction lumber as the seat and back material for the bench. This lumber comes in 8-foot-long segments, which was easy to cut in half and required no CNC work. We did, however, have to machine a pocket for a plaque that will be added to the bench about its dedication. Adding this pocket represents a design challenge since the CNC machine cannot work with a piece larger than 24 inches by 18 inches. We solved this problem by machining out a pocket on the spoiler board that held the PVC lumber cantilevered out from the bed of the CNC machine. This also allowed us to precisely locate the pocket for the plaque on the board. With all CNC work, figuring out how to hold down parts is part of the design process. We wanted the feet for the bench to be made out of the same PVC lumber to prevent rotting since they contact the wet ground. To cut out the mortise joints and the curved edges on a piece of material required a precise hold-down location. We solved this problem by machining pockets into the spoiler board to precisely locate and hold down the rectangular pieces that we would be machining from. We cut the small amount of waste material left over from the PVC lumber into small segments that can be used to help assemble the sandwiches that make up the 3-leg portions and upright supports for the bench. Prior to assembly, all pieces of the bench, especially the wooden ones, were primed in order to seal them against the weather. The bench was then assembled. One mistake that I made in the design of this bench that I would fix in future designs is to allow a larger clearance around all the mortise and tenon joints so that primed pieces would fit together better. We were able, through a group effort, to assemble the bench, and then finally we did a finish coat of purple paint, purple being the color for Elder Abuse Awareness Day. The bench was then dedicated during a ceremony as part of Elder Abuse Awareness Day held at the Alamance County Senior Center by Alamance County DSS. Thank you to Victor and everyone in Alamance County DSS for bringing us this project and this opportunity to serve our community. The Alamance Makers Guild is a group of talented and creative makers located in Alamance County, North Carolina, and is sponsored in part by Harris Educational, makers of reinventing science kits like Reinventing Edison Build Your Own Light Bulb.